Welcome to the Foodbod Pod YouTube channel and to episode 8 of our podcast. And in this episode, we are in the spice kitchen. I love this. I love spices. I love the difference that they can make to any kind of food. And if you are interested in spices, I hope you will enjoy this. Please do listen to the podcast episode as well, because there's more information and an interview on the podcast that you will hear that's not on this video. What you'll see here is us in the kitchen doing the cooking. Please keep in mind, I get in the way of the camera quite a bit. I try not to get in the way of the cook, but it's just us in Shashi's kitchen on a Sunday morning and just cooking and talking. So I really hope you enjoy it. We have got some recipes for you on the website. They're not exactly the same as Shashi makes because she cooks by instinct. She cooks through, years and years of experience in the kitchen. So the dishes that she's made for us, you can watch as she goes along and pick up her tips. And then we've got some pretty much similar recipes on the website from their fabulous book, which I highly recommend. So I hope you enjoy it. And this is just two people that love food in the kitchen, having a chat as we go. You'll be able to hear it a lot more clearly on the actual podcast audio. And at the end of this video, there's an extra little bit that's not on the podcast. So happy listening, happy watching. I really hope that you enjoy it. Shashi, we're in your kitchen, at your hob. Can you tell us, please, what you're going to make for us?
We're going to make paneer tikka and chickpea curry.
Okay, so we're in front of the hob. We've got 2 pans already in front of us. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be doing this at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, so just to explain for people that can't see what we've got in front of us, we've got 2 big pans on the hob. We've already got some chopped onion. We've got garlic ready to go. I take it this is ginger.
Yes.
And we've got some chopped red peppers. And we have fabulous spice tin in front of us. Okay, a block of paneer. That'd be great. So and chickpeas, would you always use chickpeas in the can?
We can use either. The chickpea can is an easier option.
Okay.
But you can soak and then cook them in a pressure cooker and then use the chickpeas. But can ones are quite quick to use.
Okay. I mean, I often buy the jars of chickpeas actually.
Or you can buy the jars, yeah.
Okay.
By all means. You can
and we've got passata.
Yeah, passata. Or if you've got fresh tomatoes, you can use the fresh tomatoes. That's a quicker way of doing everything, is to use passata or tin tomatoes.
Okay, so you carry on, you get on with it, and I'll just talk about what you're going to do. So what's the first thing you need to do?
I need to just put both your pans on the heat and use some olive oil or whichever oil you prefer to use, and then just start cooking from there.
So I need to explain, this is something that you do without even thinking about it, isn't
Exactly.
it? This is you in your natural space. So you carry on and I'll be talking about what you're doing.
All right.
This is your world.
Yes.
People can also see us on YouTube, so they'll be able to see us moving around the kitchen and me getting in the way or trying not to get in the way.
All right.
So you've got white onions.
Yes.
Would you always choose white onions in your recipes?
Yes, some recipes you have to use red to make the color red quite dark. But with this recipe, the white onions are fine for both these recipes.
And this is the ginger you've got. Is that? Did I see you get that out? Is that frozen ginger?
Yes, that's frozen ginger because I make a big bulk, slice it and then chop it in a blender, and then freeze it because it just makes your life easier when you want to do cooking. I normally even use the frozen garlic, but I'm using fresh today.
Okay, so what you would prepare all your ginger basically.
Yes,
so you would
ginger and
blend
garlic.
it yourself and freeze it.
Yeah,
and then you can just spoon out whatever amount you like.
Exactly.
So I as we have talked about earlier, you now have cookbook, and we were talking about this earlier about the joy of having to actually make a note of the exact amounts that you use. So when you've chopped all this up ready to make these today, did you just go with what you knew you'd want?
Yes.
Best way. But when you're writing a book and you're having to prepare it for a book, you need to be so much more precise.
Yes, I know. It's like using it's all depending on the size of the tomatoes, size of everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's very difficult to explain everything but it really honestly doesn't matter if it's a little bit more or less.
Yeah.
That's what I find. It's just experimenting. Once you know the quantities, it'll come naturally to you.
But don't you find as well, I mean, I've always found when I was following recipes that I would follow the recipe initially as it's written so I could get an understanding, and then you can feel your way and manipulate and play it.
Yeah.
Like in my house, my husband loves onion. There's always going to be more onion.
Yes.
So therefore you get to know what someone wants.
Yes, I am not very fond of garlic.
Okay.
So all of my recipes have ginger and onions more than the garlic will. So it's up to you what your taste is. You do to come to know your own taste, and then you can minus and plus whatever you want.
But I think that also comes with time and confidence. You're used to doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think the more that people cook and get those experiences, but you let you carry on. So
right.
We've got onions going to go in.
Yes. First, you've got to temper your.
Can you tell me what tempering means then? I've seen.
So when your oil becomes quite hot, all you do is just put your cumin seeds in.
Okay.
And when you see them all coming brown,
so you can hear that fizzing.
Yeah, fizzing.
So you let them go brown.
Crackle, and then when you think when they you will be able to smell the.
Yeah, I can.
You can, and then just quickly add your onions in there.
So by tempering,
you're bringing the oils out of your spices.
Okay.
Which is quite important. That gives you the flavour.
But you're only putting in those seeds to temper it initially, not putting more of your spices in yet.
Not at this early age, because you'll burn your spices if you put it in the early stage. So you're putting your onions, garlic, ginger, everything in there. Once you've sauteed your onions, they've gone a little bit brown, then you add your ginger and your garlic. I like to add the whole garlic in this recipe because
so this is the recipe for the paneer.
This is the recipe for the paneer.
But you are you're not chopping it up. You're not doing
no,
anything
because
with it,
I don't like this too strong flavor of the ginger in this recipe. So you can either leave it in there once the dish is prepared, or I just take it out if people don't like the garlic flavor too much in there.
Okay.
So you're not going to...
so, I mean, I like a lot of garlic, so you could be mincing that to go in as well.
Yes, you could mince it.
Okay.
But I'm not very garlic fan of garlic too much. So I just leave it whole.
So by leaving it whole, you're still going to get a mild amount of flavour.
Exactly. That's the whole idea.
Okay.
But then it cooks brilliantly in this dish. Even after if you don't want to take it out, you can eat it as it is. It will become a lot more flavoursome with all your spices and everything. And you're not cooking the onions too much here.
Oh, okay. So you're not waiting for them to brown or anything. They're still quite pale now.
Yes, they're quite pale.
Okay.
And you add your peppers in there.
So the red peppers are going in.
Yep. Red peppers
and they've just been chopped into, I don't know, say 2 centimetre inch cubes. Okay.
Inch cubes.
It smells amazing. You're going to have to watch this on YouTube so you can get a better view of what's going on.
So once even the peppers, you're not going to cook too much. You want to leave them crispy. So you'll cook them for about, I would say, 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
That's the maximum. And now is the time to add your spices.
Okay, so so this is to add the ground spices now, or you've
you've got the salt.
Salt going in.
Turmeric. If you like chilies,
okay,
a little bit of chili, and then garam masala.
Oh, so the garam masala is in now, not later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can add a little bit now and a little bit when it's all ready. So now it's the time to add your tomatoes in.
Okay, so we've got all of the dry elements, and then you're going to add some tomatoes. So you're going to add
So that you
starter.
don't want to burn the spices, and a little bit of water to it so that the spices don't get burned.
This looks good already to me. It smells amazing. I hope everybody can hear me over the sound of the pan.
You add your little water in.
Again, carefully measured, I see.
Yes. I would say about 3 tablespoons of water.
But that's going to depend as well if you've used fresh tomatoes or cans. And
If you're using fresh tomatoes, obviously you'll have to cook the fresh tomatoes a little bit more than if you use the Saka tin tomatoes. But this is ready now. I would like to just add my paneer now. This is the stage when I quickly add my paneer in there. And you cook for literally 2-3 minutes the paneer. Once the paneer is cooked, you don't want to overcook it because it toughens up.
so that, I mean, you said this was a quick recipe. This really is a quick recipe.
And you've seen it, how quickly it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. So the paneer
It's
doesn't need to be...
literally I would have taken about 5 minutes to make the whole recipe.
Yeah.
Once you've done the preparation, chopped your tomatoes and your peppers and everything, it literally takes 5 minutes to make the whole recipe.
So the paneer, we've got, what size this, we have got 450 grams pack of paneer.
Yeah.
And you're just going to chop it into squares or something, or cubes?
Yeah, cubes. You can leave it long if you want. You want to make it smaller. It's all depends all up to you how you want to do it.
Okay, so
So
Shashi's
it
just
doesn't-
cutting them into the pan. Nice. Sorry, I'm just watching this happening. I know I should still be talking more. So we're just cutting the paneer straight into the pan.
Straight into the pan.
God, it smells good in here. And it literally, like, considering it's quite dense as you look at it now, that doesn't take that long to cook.
It honestly doesn't. You will have to sort of see by your eye and see how this looks now, and then you can add more water if you think it might need a little bit more because paneer soaks a lot of liquid.
Okay.
So I think the liquid you might need to add a little bit more.
But this
Cover
isn't
it
a
up.
wet curry though, is it?
It is kind of a wet and dry kind of thing.
Yeah.
Semi, I would say.
But so you want to have a little bit of moisture
In there so
it
that the
doesn't just suck it all
paneer can sort of expand a little bit and get softer inside.
out. Okay.
So when you add the water to the paneer is going to soak all the water.
Oh, I didn't realise
But that you need to do, otherwise it becomes quite dense and it becomes tougher.
But that must be, if it's soaking it up, it must be taking in flavours as well then, is it?
It's taking the flavors because paneer is quite a bland sort of taste. You want the flavors, the water which is now mixed with spices. You want the paneer to take over that spicy bit in there. So that's it. Now this is done. This is all ready.
That's it?
That's it. This
It
is
is
you're going to
quick.
cover it for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Leave it in the pan for 2 minutes. Let it cook on a full heat for 2 minutes. Let it boil.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's done.
Done. Excellent. Okay, cool. So, what we're making next?
We're making the chickpea curry next.
Right.
So we've got the pan on.
Yeah. So again, you're going to
Temper your cumin
Is this
seeds.
to make sure that they're in there and they cook, so you're not biting into an uncooked seed? Or is it to
No,
flavour
it's just to
the
get
oil?
the flavor, the oil, and get the best out of your cumin seeds.
Okay.
Because the cumin seeds don't taste of anything if you don't temper it in the hot oil. All the oils come out of your cumin seeds once you put it in a heat. Either you can you can even roast it in a dry pan.
I always roast cumin seeds because I like the flavour from that. I think it's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then if you're cooking something wet, then you've got to temper it in your oil and then add.
Okay, so it's to add some flavour to the oil, but also get the most
out of your
seeds.
cumin seeds. Yes.
Okay. Would you do that with any other spice seeds?
Yes. All the seed spices, like even if you're using mustard seeds, I use that as well.
Okay.
I do the same thing with that as well. Any whole spice you use, you have to temper them to get the best out of them.
Okay. So we've got the onion in the pan with the cumin seeds. So with this onion, are you going to cook it down anymore? Or are you going to be similar
Yes,
to
this
the other
will
one?
be cooked down a little bit more, and then I'll explain as I go along what I'm going to do to this onions.
So we've got garlic going in this one as well?
Yes, garlic will go in there, but this time I'm going to crush the garlic.
Okay, so you've got a mortar and pestle. So that's just to get some of the flavour out of it.
And I find that if you add a little bit salt to your garlic at this stage, it crushes better, quicker.
Okay. Now watching you do that, that is something you have done your whole life.
Yes. Yes, because I find this, otherwise it doesn't make a paste very good, so you add a little bit of salt to your garlic and it mashes down very quickly, because I guess the salt, the roughness of the salt just mashes your garlic very nicely and very quickly. So the garlic is done.
So by using a marble mortar and pestle, does that stop you getting the flavours into the actual bowl?
I don't think that matters, to be honest. I've just got a marble one. I've got a big one which I use when I'm doing bulk cooking.
Yeah. Do you want the salt?
Yeah. That is good. Down.
The problem with this is I now have to stand here and see that this is cooked, so I can't try any. I think there's not much nicer than the smell of cooking onions.
You've got to literally caramelize these a little bit more at a little brownie stage.
So that was the seeds popping just then. That's okay. The seeds aren't going to get burnt or anything.
No, because once you put your onions in, the temperature drops down very quickly.
Okay.
And it'll never burn. You've got to keep still an eye on it. And if you think they are burning and you're not ready for the next stage, just add a little drop of water, and it caramelizes your onions even better.
Okay.
And it will evaporate. The water will evaporate quickly, and it won't slow the procedure. It will slow the procedure down a little bit, but it won't burn it.
Okay.
So that's a little tip. Always, when you see the onions are browning too quickly, just a little drop of water helps.
Okay.
So there's some ginger from
Ginger.
Now you can add the ginger and the garlic to your paste, to your onions.
So the ginger paste has gone in, garlic paste.
You can, at this stage, you can even use green chili paste, which I've got it in my freezer again.
Is that what you processed yourself again?
Yes, I do normally use the green chilies.
Okay, yeah, I see these in my local shop.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can
even buy them.
So what's interesting is how quickly the frozen
I
ginger
always
is
have
broken up.
everything freshly. I buy everything fresh, ginger, garlic paste, and then make my own paste.
Yeah.
And then just add it to make the things.
That is a chunk of green chili
Yes.
paste.
Yes.
That looks like a big chunk to me.
You've got to see, because I know there is a big chunk, but sometimes when you freeze things, they get less heat-wise, it's not so hot.
See, I find that really interesting because I know when I've made things in the past, when they've been in the freezer for a while, the chili flavour has been enhanced.
No, but then you see, you come to know, but this chilies which are bought it from the shops, they're not very hot.
Right.
So
okay.
I know this chili is not very hot. If you buy the fresh chilies, sometimes you don't know what the flavour is going to come out of it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the chilies can be really hot and sometimes they're quite mild.
Yeah.
But this chili, I know my taste by now.
Yeah.
I know the brand. It's not very hot. That's why I'm adding a big chunk to it. So now all my tadka is ready, which I call tadka, which is onion, ginger, garlic.
You call
that's
it what?
Ready. A tadka.
Tadka.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that
is your base.
Yeah.
That's your base of any curry. Is
Right.
that either it's meat or chickpeas or any. So that's your base,
onion, garlic,
onion, garlic, ginger. That's all done.
Okay.
Now because we've used the tin chickpeas here, I'm not going to add too much salt in it. Normally it's already salted.
Okay.
So you just add a little bit, and then you can always add more after you've cooked your curry, and taste it, and then add the flavors to it.
Okay.
So again, I'm going to put turmeric.
So we've got all the spices going in.
Yeah.
But again, you're just doing it by eye. You're doing it by what you know you want in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is brilliant.
So this time I'm just going to add a little bit ginger, garlic, garam masala,
Yeah.
salt. Because I've already added the chilies before,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to add any more chili. I'll taste it and then add my chili.
Okay.
The tomatoes going
We've got
in.
tomato passata in this one.
Yeah. And a little bit of water so that the onions don't burn and your spices don't burn.
Oh, that looks great already. The sauce smells amazing.
So at this stage, some people don't like their this tadka bit, which has got lots of big chunks of onions in there. They like to crush this down,
Yeah.
make it into a paste,
Yeah.
and then add the chickpeas.
Yeah.
That's what I would do now.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
do you tend to put a stick blender into the cup?
yes, you could do either the stick blender or you can just put it in a blender and then
Okay.
a little bit of water is going in there as well to make it a little bit runnier to get it into a blender. So if you're using a stick blender, you need a little bit of moisture in there.
Yeah.
So if this was in a pan, I would just use the stick blender.
So you're going to blend this down to make it a smoother sauce.
Yeah.
What kind of curry would you be making where you'd leave it like this and not blend it down?
Again, it all depends on your taste. If you like your onions quite chunky, and you don't want, if you want to make your curry kind of a thicker, looking like a thick.
Yeah.
If you want to make your curry quite thick and nice, like not too runny,
Yeah.
then I would blend everything. Like if
Okay.
I'm making a chicken curry with same spices, same everything, I would blend it down.
Okay.
Now our paneer is ready.
Right.
You can switch that off.
Okay. Oh, that way. So just running the stick blender around the pan. And a bit more water. Do you want a bit more than that?
Yeah. Put that in. Yeah.
Adding a bit more water. So it's more water.
Yeah. A little bit more. Because chickpea curry is quite a running curry.
Okay. again, people can find these recipes in the book.
It would be nicer because it's a non-stick pan. I don't want to really
Yeah, you don't want to scrape the bottom.
scrape the bottom. So
I always end up doing that. You kind of hold it just above, don't you?
Yeah, it's best if I now put this in a little dish and then do it. It'll come out nicer. I'm not on the...
No, don't worry. Don't worry. This is David's job. Oh, okay. So you're going to put it into a smaller pot so that you can then blend it and put it back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be easier that way, rather than this is not right. I've got a plastic thing and I can't see it anywhere now.
It's always the way when you're being recorded for something, trying to find what it is that you want in your kitchen.
Oh.
Excuse me, whilst I just put your mic back on. Sorry. Okay. Right, so the sauce is going in a pot. To blend it up, to put it back in the pan. Yeah?
Yeah.
God, it smells good. That's better. Lovely. The only problem with this being in your kitchen and not mine is I can't lick anything.
You can by all means lick whatever you want.
So all the sauce is going straight back in the pan, which is still hot, so it's bubbling like mad.
And this is when you want your apron on.
Yeah. I brought my apron to have the microphone, something to attach the microphone to. Okay, so we've got the sauce back in the pan.
Now you can see how good the whole...
So maybe you will have a
looks.
tip then. Say you were making this and you've made it too runny. How do you thicken sauces for curries?
I normally use is any seeds.
Seeds?
So yeah, the seeds like sunflower seeds. You can just add that to your curry, which is obviously good for you. Or pumpkin seeds, or even cashew nuts.
You would add them to thicken a sauce?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So obviously
You're not grinding them, you're putting them
yeah,
in a
no. You're grinding them. The
Oh,
milk
okay.
powder.
Yeah.
As you can see, I've got this.
So you're using them like a flour version, but you would do it
Yes.
with seeds or...
So I've got some already made here.
So what's in
So
there?
this is sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds.
And you've ground them ready to go?
Completely grounded, and I've always got this
Okay.
ready used to. And some cashew nuts in there. So if you want to thicken your thing, you can add the seeds to it, and that will increase obviously your taste in your curry you're making. And it's obviously good for you.
Yeah.
All the seeds are good for you.
Sometimes I've done it with almond flour, ground almonds.
Yes, you can do that as well.
Okay.
But I use them because sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds are good for you, and they're cheaper obviously.
Yeah. And for me, therefore, that would also add some extra protein with
Yes,
it being
exactly.
vegetarian. So we've got the 2 cans of chickpeas have now gone into this mix.
Yeah. So this was, I think, it was slightly too much of tadka in there, but we'll add another tin in there.
Okay.
So 3 tins.
So we're going to end up with 3 tins going in. Oh, the colour. See, this is what it's always the colour that you get so easily. So the sauce looks amazing. Everything smells amazing. I'm just stirring it around here for the sake of it, not because it needs to be. Just to get lots of wafting smells.
And sometimes I make this whole the chickpea curry, any curry I want to make, you can make obviously in a big quantity, and then freeze your tadka, which is your base sauce. You can always make more, and then whenever you want to make any dish, your whole thing is already ready to be used.
So you would freeze the sauce, you've got sauces ready to go that you can then add to things.
Yes. And I think that's a good tip for people to remember that. If you want to use a quick way of cooking, that's one thing you can do.
So if you always have a base sauce, so your tadka, is that right?
Yeah.
Which will already have a certain amount of spices in them, you can always add other spices and change the flavour as you go along.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can do that as well. So your chickpea curry is basically now ready.
Okay, and this now needs simmering.
That needs simmering about 10 minutes.
Okay. So
And then you can just garnish it with the coriander, and that's it. Your recipe is done.
so we've got the lid on and just simmering for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. There we
So
go.
2 dishes are done.
Yeah. Brilliant. Shashi, whilst things are bubbling away here, can I just ask you about the pans? Because you've cooked everything on quite a high heat.
Yeah.
Is that because you've got nice heavy duty pans?
Yes.
Okay.
I always use a heavy pan because it just doesn't burn your, and then you can cook it quite fast on a very high heat.
So
And
are
then-
these? I mean, are these cast iron? They look quite thick. They've got a nice weight to them, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would always use a heavy duty pan.
Yes.
Okay. And we are now at the point where you're telling me that we need to have a taste.
Yes.
So if we both taste this sauce, can you tell me what you taste in it as opposed to what I might taste in it?
All
So-
right.
Sashi's just thrown some chopped coriander over everything. So you put that in now, you're not putting it in when you're going to serve it?
You can't, because now it's ready to taste. You've got to, the food has got to look right to even taste.
Okay.
That's what I find is you've got to have an end product looking to what you want.
So if we're just going to try a bit of the sauce.
What do you think?
Well, to me it tastes great. So
But
what
I
do you
would-
taste? What do you think it means?
I think everything is fine, but I need is a little bit of lemon in there. Just give that,
So it lifts it a bit, yeah.
just give it a little lime or lemon.
Can you mention which of the 2 dishes you're tasting as well?
Sorry, and we're just tasting the paneer dish at the moment, so just tasting the sauce from it. So you're going to add that little sour element,
Yes.
and maybe
A little bit of sugar as well.
sugar.
Yes.
So why are you
Lime, whenever you add lime or lemon, you've got to sort of balance it out with a little bit of sweetness to it.
So you've just squeezed half a lime over the top of the paneer dish, and now you're going to put a bit of
Just
sugar
a
over the top.
little bit of sugar.
And would you
which is-
stir that in, or you just leave that sitting on the top?
No, you can stir it in, or you can leave it as it is. Now taste and tell me what you think.
Oh God, this is scary. So I want to get a bit that's got what you've just added to it. Yeah, it does lift the flavours.
Or you can leave it if you think that was that was
No,
good
I
enough.
can see what the lime has done.
This you can use it as a barbecue dish as well.
I was going to try a bit of the paneer, but that's a big chunk. I don't want to eat all of it. David's got to be allowed to have some.
There's plenty here.
All right, so I'm going to try another bit. You do get a little bit of the lime and the sugar, don't you? David,
Obviously-
it's nice.
Obviously, I didn't add too much sugar in it. It was only
Yes, only a little
a
thing
little pinch of, I would say,
to
pinch
offset the sourness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Can we eat yet? So what are we looking for in this one?
Similar things like I think it just needs a little bit more cooking, but we can taste it now because they were tin chickpeas.
So the chickpea curry is still bubbling away. I'll just try and couple the chickpeas with the sauce.
Now this one, I would, according to me, would need a little bit more salt in it.
Again, that goes with taste, doesn't it? Because for me, I would say it was alright, but I don't add a lot of salt to things.
I would add a little pinch of more salt.
You must have such an advanced palate nowadays.
I guess, I don't know. I think sometimes my husband says, oh, you've added this much too much, but I just cooked it with my palate, and then when the kids are around, then I try to make everything quite mild.
Right.
Because they've got, obviously, the grandkids have got a lot milder taste, less more. Now you can see in this, there is not that much of chili in there.
Yeah. You think there's not a lot of chili, but I can taste it.
All right.
Yeah, your version of not a lot of chili is probably a bit different from mine.
Yeah, my palate is obviously with chilies is quite high.
It's not too strong, but I can taste it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have a little
So
drink.
so when you're having Indian food, especially when you prepared it there and then, but you'll see the next day if leftover curry next day goes milder because it's soaked all the chilies in
But
there.
I think next day curry is the best. I
Yeah.
like it the next day.
The next day curry.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's it.
So this is going to keep on bubbling.
Bubbling for another, I would say 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
And I think because the chickpeas are already ready and then they're boiled and they're there from a tin, it doesn't really need that much curry. It's just to give the chickpea the flavour of the spices and flavour of all the onions and garlic and ginger. And
But
all
that's the thing, isn't it? When you're using things like chickpeas, beans, they take on so many flavours so well,
Yeah.
as long as you give them enough time to actually absorb them.
Yeah.
So if you weren't a chickpea fan, you could probably put other beans in that, couldn't you?
You could put other beans in there, yes.
Yeah. So what kind of things would you use typically if you
I
had
would
something?
even add the black beans in there,
Oh,
or
nice.
any beans, just to give it a colourful sort of, when the
So you
brown
could do a mix. You could make that base sauce and do a
base
mix
sauce
and put
and
different things in
any
it.
kind of mix you can make it to your
Okay.
taste.
And if with the paneer curry, is that specifically designed for paneer? Is there any other cheese or anything else that you could put in with that instead?
So you could put in that curry you could add a bit of yogurt, like Greek yogurt in there, and that would, if you don't like it very spicy flavors, then to make the whole curry more creamier, you could add either cream in there, or you can add the Greek yogurt in there, which will make the whole spices taste even milder.
Okay, so I need to ask you a question about this one then, because I've done quite a lot of my version of attempting to cook Indian food. When you come to adding yogurt to something like that that's already warm, how do you add it to it without it curdling?
When it's gone a little bit, not while it's bubbling hot.
Okay,
Add it when it's gone half cold. Not too cold,
okay.
but half cold. Like I would leave it for 5-6 minutes and then add your yogurt to it, and then not reheat, to keep on reheating it.
Okay.
So if you do not reheat it, it will not curdle.
Okay, so you don't need to bring, because I tried bringing my yogurt up to room temperature or things like that.
No, that's not going to make any difference.
Okay.
But all that is when you heat the yogurt, that's when it curdles.
Okay, so you need your dish to have cooled a
Cool
bit.
down a little
and then
bit.
stir it in.
Not too much, but you really need that heat for the yogurt to cook a little bit as well.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you just, even if you want to add your cream, I wouldn't. Cream you can add it to a hot pan as well.
Yeah.
But when you're using yogurt, then do not.
See, I would
use it
always
in the
choose
boil.
yogurt rather than the cream, so I don't want the richness of the cream, whereas I like the sour element of the yogurt. But yeah, it's the not curdling it. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. It's very useful. I'm learning.
Good?
Yeah?
Great, lovely.
Cool.
Right. Now should we make the flatbread as well and then get over with it?
Yes. So now what we're going to do is go on to make some flatbreads. My apologies that initially you're seeing the back of us in the video, but stick with it because you can see how Shashi cooks and makes these. So enjoy. So we have we've been tasting curries, and I've achieved to wear an apron, put drip curry sauce down my sleeve, down my arm, which is quite an achievement. So what are we making now, Mama Spice?
Now we're going to make both the doughs for our chapatis and for our naan bread.
Okay, so what flour have you got in the pan?
This is just the ordinary wheat flour,
Okay,
and this one is the self-raising flour.
okay,
So when we're making the naan bread, what we do is we add a little bit of salt to it,
so you've got the flour in the pan, you're adding a little bit of salt,
and then yogurt.
and then yogurt. Okay, so this is the self-raising flour with yogurt. I've done this, I've seen this alchemy. It works really well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then just not the yogurt, you add a little bit of water to it as well.
Okay.
And with your spoon, you just make a very soft dough.
So this is just going to be the flour, yogurt, a bit of water, and a bit of salt.
You can add some spices, the whole spices as well, if you want to make it more you can add herbs to it, but I'm just doing it plain today.
Okay, and you could add all those things right now.
Yes, you could add these things, whatever you want to. You can add coriander,
Okay.
fresh coriander, or even seeds like nigella seeds, or even cumin seeds.
Nigella seeds, I do like that. I think they're so good when you add them in.
Yeah, because you said that, I'm going to add the nigella
Oh.
seeds to it.
That wasn't me asking you to. That was really a comment.
No, I'm going to do that because I quite like the nigella seeds as well.
So I'm very much a big fan of spices, which is the reason that I am
quite like
friends
the
with your
nigella
son.
because with the white.
Yeah.
White,
Oh, and the smell. That's a big tub of nigella seeds. That is, and it's onion seeds, isn't it?
Yep.
They smell amazing. So you might be proud of me. In my book, I have my second book. I have a recipe which is a bread with turmeric and nigella seeds. Oh, it's so good. But I do put a lot of spices in a lot of things.
Even with these naan bread, I've recently done this. Is made with spinach. I blend all the spinach in there.
Yeah.
Make it into completely liquid,
Yeah.
and then add that to the flour.
Yes, I've done
And
that.
then it is green kind of
Yeah.
thing, and looks quite healthy. And yes, I've done that recently, and everybody seems to enjoy it.
Have you ever tried doing it with sweet potato puree?
No.
Works the same way.
Sweet potato would make your whole flour very sweet.
Yeah.
Bread.
Yeah, but it works quite nice. It's not too sweet. But if you also add in some spices, then you stop it from being too sweet.
All right.
Or some herbs.
Okay. I'll try that.
I think that's the sound of somebody that doesn't agree with me. So in this pot, you just got flour and water.
Yep.
And this is for the roti.
Yes.
Okay. And you're straight in there with your hands. See, I can't cope with that. I'm not very good at getting my hands dirty.
Because it releases your gluten and makes it nice and.
Would you ever do this in a mixer? Could people do it in a mixer?
Yeah, they can do it in a mixer, but then
Okay.
you've got to have a precise amount of water going with a precise amount of flour. And
Like you would do when you have to write a recipe, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. But this, because I have not measured the flour or the water, you just do it by hand so that you know how much to add.
That was
It's gone
water
on your
hitting my face.
It's only water.
I know,
Oh,
it's okay. It was just the shock of it. If you can't see exactly what Mama Spice is doing on the video, I do apologise. What you will see is when we're cooking them. So at the moment, you're just kind of lightly kneading the dough a bit, yeah?
Which is releasing the gluten out of the flour. And it becomes quite
And these are doughs that you can use immediately, aren't they? They're not things that
Yeah.
need to sit and rest or anything like that.
You don't have to rest. The naan bread flour, I would rest it for 15-20 minutes. But this one you can use it straight away. But always dough is best if you need it, and then leave it for 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
It works.
So do you cook these in a pan with a dry heat, or would you add oil to them for cooking the bread?
Cooking the bread is always at the. I'll show you when we make the bread.
Yeah.
It's when it's cooked, you add a little bit of butter on top
Right. Okay. To soften it.
to soften it, or just give that flavor, buttery flavor to it.
Okay.
So yeah, your chickpea curry is done.
Right.
Now we can straight away start making the naan bread and the rotis.
So you've just got out a flat pan for making this.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a particular pan?
Yes.
Is this a tawa?
Yeah, you can use a frying pan as well,
Okay.
but this is a cast iron, I would
Yeah.
say. So cast iron pan, which you use. Every Indian household ever got one. You can get non-stick ones these days as well.
So this is
This
basically
is
just a
my
wide flat
old
pan.
50 years old pan, which I've been using for the last 50 years.
Oh wow, okay. So that's gone on to the heat and that's dry,
Yes.
okay? So just kneading the dough a little bit more. So this one is for the rotis.
Mm-hmm.
So you just put a bit of oil into that, didn't
Yes,
you?
just because I'm using it straight away, and I'm just needing a little bit, kind of
Or to make it a bit more pliable.
more pliable. Yes.
So now we've got a rolling pin. Ah, and a little wooden board. A little round wooden board. This is a cupboard with a lifetime of things in it. So, what's going on first? So some flour on the board.
No, it's only on your hand.
Oh, okay, so just a bit of flour in your hands. So you've taken a little ball of dough off, you've put it onto your hands, and you're rolling it round into a ball. And then back into the flour, onto the board, and roll it. So you roll in a couple, turn a couple, roll a couple, turn a couple. This is what I think is amazing, you keep it as such a round. So back in the flour a little bit, rolling and turning to keep the round shape. Always on the board.
This is very fresh. The dough is quite fresh. It's not
So
any-
you're rolling it to, what do you just want, like a couple of millimetres thickness?
No, not millimeter. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it? How thin do you call that?
I'm not even a millimetre really, that's really thin. So just slapping it between your hands a little bit.
Just to spread it a little bit.
Okay, and then
Perfect.
straight onto the hot pan. Wow, you've just done this many times. So you've got the ball, another ball of dough into your hands, rolling it round into the flour, and then onto the board, and then start rolling. And you're slapping it back into the flour, and if you feel it's getting stuck, or you just add extra flour as you go along.
Yes, as you think it's getting stuck to your board, all you do is just add a little bit more flour.
Okay.
But I don't need to. I know I can do it just without. You don't want too much flour on your roti either.
And this is, I mean, they're really quick, aren't they? How do you know when it's done? What are you looking for?
Just a couple of, not even a minute, 30 seconds. If the heat is quite a high heat, then you. This has got the birds.
So you're getting a pan with tea towel, and that's what you're going to be putting the rotis in whilst you cook the
Yes,
others?
it keeps it hot, nice and hot, because this is a hot. This has got a hot pot.
So we've got a stainless steel pan and a tea towel and with a kitchen roller over the top. Oh, we're starting to get some bubbles in the rotis. Is that a good sign?
Yep. That's a good sign. That shows that, yeah, it's ready to turn it over.
And we've got some little brown spots now. Oh, you're pushing it down. See it well. So as Sashi pushes down on it, it's creating a balloon. So you've almost eased out the air. You've kind of pushed it out.
Yeah, it's a steam.
Steam. But would it have done that if you hadn't been pushing on it?
No.
Oh, well, that's a trick I didn't
And
know.
then-
Oh, so we've now got the balloon of bread, which Shashi has now put over the naked flame for a little finisher, and then into the pot for storage, and it goes flat again. So they don't stay all blown up. And whilst it's still warm, some butter being smeared over the top. So the butter adds the flavour for later. Oh, wow. So you're just going to keep on, in that pot, you'll keep on adding to it.
Yep.
Put a bit of butter and add to them every time.
Yep.
So you're not putting the kitchen roll between them as layers.
No.
No, you're just layering them up
I'll
together.
show you when you make the next roti how you do it, because you don't want to get butter all over your thing.
Okay.
I'll show you when the next one is ready. You put it upside down. So the butter bit is, it's difficult to explain this, but the butter bit is in the middle all the time.
Right,
So
okay.
one side is always dry side and one's the buttery side.
Yes, I see what you mean. So you've got the two buttered sides together,
Yes.
and then two
yes.
dried sides together.
Yes.
Okay, so that there isn't butter hitting every bit of bread.
And when you're breaking it, doesn't go on your hands either.
This is the bit I did. This is amazing. So as you're pushing against it, you're pushing the steam out, and that is what makes it into the big balloon.
And then it cooks better because the inside of your roti is cooked properly. The steam is cooking it as well.
This is why I've never made them successfully, because I've never seen anybody do that. And then you put them over the naked flame and just finish it off. So is that a flavour thing, the reason you do that, Evan? Do you put them over the naked flame for flavour?
I think it just cooks it. It just looks nicer and it cooks a lot better. You can leave it on the pan if you don't want to put it on the naked flame. But I like it that way. So can you see what I've just done?
Okay, so another roti has gone on the board, some butter smeared on it, put on top of the other one with the two buttered sides together, so that the next one that goes in will be the two dried sides. So there's not just butter on everything. I understand. That slapping sound is the master at work with the dough. Now, I've watched you doing this in videos with your granddaughter sitting here, doing it with you, which is lovely.
Yeah, all my granddaughters. When all three of them come together, there's a competition going on. So they've got 3 or 4 rolling pins going on at the same time, making so much mess. But I just love them making the mess as well, which is the nice bit is just their mess.
Yeah.
Afterwards, when I'm making parathas, and they love the parathas, which is another kind of a flat bread, which is stuffed with the potatoes or whatever, paneer or whatever they want to add to it. And yes, when they're making that, there's a big mess in the kitchen.
I can
But
imagine.
I love it.
But that's
And
brilliant that you encourage that, because it's such great
Yes.
learning.
Yes, even my 3-year-old Zara, which is just over 3 years old, she just comes and sits right next on this my worktop, and she says, "I want to make parathas, Daddy," and she is just amazing to watch what she does with the dough, and then she starts making birds and other things with the dough.
So she's shaping it.
She's shaping them. I've taught them how to shape things, so they're not even making it, they're just getting involved in the kitchen. And I think this is the age when I think the girls or boys, they've got to get involved in the kitchen.
I think
Even
if
if
they
they're
learn
not
now,
making things.
they'll have such an instinct in the kitchen when they're older if they're starting out. A bit less fear.
Because we were taught at a very young age, that's what I encourage even my boys to tell kids, when you take the kids to the kitchen and bake even something simple like bread or cakes or fairy cakes, that's just involve them in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And all my grandkids are now brilliant bakers.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Right, we've done the rotis now.
Okay,
Now
so that's all of the roti dough that we've used up.
Yes, so we'll have the rotis. I don't think we'll need any more after this. And then we're going to next go to the naan bread. Now this dough needed some resting, so it's
Okay.
rested for 10 minutes.
So this is the naan bread dough that Scott the Nigella seeds in. So that's the rotis done. The thing you should do it so quickly. I think that's what, as well, people think that so much time and effort needs to go into this, but you can actually do it quickly once you get a handle on it. So for making the naan bread, you're just doing the same thing.
Same thing, exactly the same thing. This time you could either use your flour, which you've used like plain flour. I just use the same flour. Gives it a little bit of.
So rolling them out, but these for naan bread you wouldn't roll as thin, no?
No, they're a little bit thicker, but thinner the better. I find them because then it's not too much dough.
Yeah.
And they're more crispier.
So what's your tips at getting the best out of your naan breads?
Best out of my naan bread?
Yeah, I mean, do you do the thing of putting them under a grill or anything like that? Or everything's all on the pan?
You could do both. You could do both. Grill, if you want to make it more like a professional look, then I would put it under the grill.
So you
and only
get
cook
those.
one side.
Yeah.
Only cook on one side.
Okay.
And then put it under the grill. And my tip, the other tip is wet your top bit of your naan first.
Okay, so you're wetting it before it goes in the pan?
On the pan, yes.
Okay, so the
and
wet
the wet
side...
bit is on the top.
Oh, the wet bit of the dough is on the top?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that then?
I don't know. That's the way my mum taught me.
That's the best way. So we've got naan bread in the pan and immediately there's bubbles coming up on it. Immediately.
Yeah, and then you've got to turn the heat down a little bit because it's a little bit thicker.
You need to cook it for a little bit longer.
For a little bit longer.
Okay.
So the pan was hot for the rotis, and now we're making the naan bread. We turn the heat down a little bit and let it cook a little bit more longer.
I think it's like my cheeks. My cheeks feel like they're cooking right now. So if you made a meal, would you always have some bread alongside it?
Yeah.
Okay.
More or less with an Indian meal, you either have the rotis with it, because this plain flour I don't use that much. I use the roti flour. The naan bread flour is obviously plain flour.
Yeah.
I don't tend to use it too much because it's not obviously that good for your stomach to digest. It takes a little bit longer to digest.
But you would always have breads with a meal.
Yeah. If I have, this was too hot.
Okay, I can see that. But yeah. I'm sure it'll still get eaten.
The next one will be the perfect one because I'll turn the heat down.
But you wouldn't necessarily always have rice with a meal or anything like that.
Not always rice with the meal, but if I have rice, then I wouldn't use too much of bread as well with it, because you've got to use one or the other.
Yeah.
Again. So that's the temperature you've got to get, because this is quite a lot thicker.
Yeah.
You've got to turn the heat down a little bit.
So, as we're not cooking any today, tell me what's your top tips for cooking rice? Because it's not always the easiest thing for people.
I think rice is quite an easy thing to cook. If you're cooking rice, the top tip is whatever amount of rice you take. If you take, say, 1 mug of rice or 1 cup of rice, you've got to put double the amount of water to it.
Okay.
And then boil, after you added the water to it, boil it, let it bubble, and then cover it. And then cover it and put the heat, turn the heat quite low.
Right.
And let it kind of simmer rather than bubble.
Right, so you're doing it on a lower heat. For
Lower
a bit longer.
heat, and
Okay.
then when all your water has been
Absorbed.
that's it, your rice are ready.
Do you wash your rice before cooking?
Yes, always rice.
Okay.
Especially when you're using basmati rice. You've got to get that starchy bit of the rice or the white bit of the rice.
So
When
would you wash it through the water a few times?
Yes. I would do it for 3-4 times.
Right, okay. And what are you looking for? Water to run clear or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
So the water to be completely clear. Once that's clear, add your 2 mugs. If you're using 1 mug of rice, add the 2 mugs in there. And then just...
Whatever the type of rice you're using, you would do that?
I would use it, I normally make is basmati rice.
Okay.
But even if I'm using any kind of rice, I would still do the same thing.
Right, okay.
Except if you're making risotto rice, you don't.
Well, no, they're quite different. I'm just happily watching you roll bread and roll dough.
So this dough is quite, it's not too firm. It's quite, because the softer the dough is, the softer your naan will be.
Right, okay.
So the dough is not to be too...
No, it's quite floppy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, so you're doing that thing again, pushing the steam around it
yeah.
to cook it through. And up it pops. Bread puffing up before your eyes. Brilliant. Simple pleasures.
So this dough is quite soft, as you can see to your hands as well. So again, the butter goes on soft. The butter on the naan bread, I always like to add a lot of butter. So when I say a lot of butter, it's not too much butter, but there is butter on the top. But if people are they want to use olive oil or they want to use whichever oil they like, that's fine as well.
So again, this is keeping them soft and adding a bit of flavour to them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is with your fingers.
Everything is with my fingers.
But like my grandmother always used to say, she had asbestos fingers. Stick everything straight out with her fingers. She always reckoned that she could tell if a jacket potato was ready because she would take it out of a microwave and squash it, and if it was sufficiently squashy, then she decided it was ready to go.
That's the way to do it.
Well, yeah, but I think if you can learn to cook by feel, it's great, but it does take time and confidence. You're making me want to get back in my kitchen.
So the naan bread is done, nearly.
We're big fans of red onion in our household. Would it work if you used red onion in these kind of dishes, or would it change it too much?
You can use red onions. I don't use it because I think it just gives a little bit more depth to the dishes. Sometimes you want to see the dish, the color of the dish as well. Like in the paneer's thing, you want to see all the different colors. You can reuse half and half as well, and then get a different depth to the whole thing. Like you can use half white and half red, and then have your red peppers or the yellow peppers and the white color, which is a paneer. But it entirely depends on what you like.
So red onions to you is more that they're going to add colour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Color and the flavor is different as well, a little bit of different. I use white because I've always used white.
Okay.
And even in India, there is no white onion. There's always red onion. So it's all entirely up to you. It's kind of a pinky onions in India.
Right.
In most of the Indian households, you will see there is no white, like, we have the white onions here.
Yeah.
There's always reddy, pinky color onions. So it's entirely up to you.
I guess you've seen a real drastic change in this country with the ingredients that you can buy locally.
Yeah. Especially when I came to this country, there wasn't much spices, there wasn't much of Indian sort of flavors, and the tin which Mum had provided me when I got married was a very useful item in my kitchen.
Your spice tin.
Yes.
So that's what everybody got given when they got married.
Yes, everybody has a spice tin. Everybody brings their spice tins with them. So Mum gave me one of those when I got married, and that came quite handy when I came to this country because there wasn't much availability here at that time.
How did you refill it then?
It was a problem. I had
Yeah.
to look around, try and find where I could get the spices. Found a very small Indian shop where I could get refills, and yeah, but now it's available everywhere.
Yeah, but the change is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, but still your blends which you make, your own blends, I find that's priceless.
Because then they're to your taste.
That's exactly to your taste. Like, my garam masala recipe is my grandmother's recipe, and I don't even like the ready-made stuff.
Okay. So what's the difference in it for you?
It's just the spices my grandma used to use. I'm just used to those spices.
Yeah.
My palate is used to those spices, and I just prefer them to the ready-made stuff.
It's like years ago in this country, you only got olive oil in the chemist.
Exactly.
Yeah, because olive oil was only sold to like clear your ears or something like that. There was no thought about using it in cooking. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy.
And rapeseed oil was never heard of.
In fact, actually, I often use rapeseed oil in recipes, or I put it on Instagram or something like that, and I will get people trying to correct me and saying, "Oh, did you mean grapeseed oil?" Like, no, I meant rapeseed.
Yeah.
Which
now they say that grapeseed is the best one to use even after olive oil, but it wasn't heard of.
Yeah,
before.
absolutely.
And mustard oil, which is, I would say, quite similar to rapeseed, or it's the same thing. I don't know. Was always used in Indian cooking,
and it does
was
make a difference to the taste.
Oh,
massive difference.
Massive
but
difference.
I know people like sesame oil, but I don't like it because I think it overwhelms with the flavour.
Yeah, you've got to use sesame oil very, very little.
And you've got to use it in a particular recipe.
Yes.
Because you've really got to know that you're going to taste that.
Yes.
But there's a big interest in avocado oil and things. And actually, I don't like the taste of it. I like avocados, but not as an oil. So
they say that avocado oil is becoming quite popular. I've not tasted it, to be honest, but I don't know how it tastes like.
But I think the one I had, I found very strange. But again, it depends. It's down to your taste, isn't it? But if this is going to be a key thing that starts your dish off when you're cooking it, surely you've got to like the taste of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is all of the naans done. And again, these were finished off over the bare flame to give them that little edge.
Crispiness.
And a little colour. Wow. That is a pan. Would you like to just hold it up so people can see your pan of fabulous breads? Look at that. Beautiful. And the butter. Right. I'm
Now
going to turn the video
time
off.
to eat.
Yeah, we need to take some photos.
Time to eat. Because we don't want the breads to go cold.
Right, we're going to turn that off. Thank you for letting us come into your kitchen.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
I really hope that you enjoyed being with us on that Sunday morning. I hope you enjoy the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this video. We have got some recipes on the website. They're not exactly as Shashi's made, but they are what was written up and tested for the book. So you've got some great recipes that you can follow. They've also given us a discount code that you can use. I highly recommend the book. I highly recommend the products. I've always loved them, and I really, really hope you enjoyed this episode. Until the next time.